First, we'd just like to start by saying we're really excited to be here. I've been working with you for the past few weeks. So we are ClearView Consultancy, and then our aim is specifically to provide transparent, sustainable solutions for all of our clients. So we'll start by introducing us one by one. I'm Millie, I've been the project leader. This is Arees, the project manager, Connor, the lead communicator, and then these are research specialists, Shrey and Mary. Perfect. Thank you, Connor. So the aim of our research was to give you an answer to what a leader in sustainability would look like for an automotive company by 2030. In order to divide our research, we created a MEAS framework, as you can see, which was in 3 sections, which was current status, external analysis, and other industries. We'll detail these further throughout the presentation in our agenda.
Okay, so for the agenda, we essentially have 3 sections that we want to touch upon. The first section is the as-is status, within which we'll talk about decarbonization beyond 100, BEV, circular economy, and the USB. We then move on to the second section of our presentation, which is the external analysis. Here we'll discuss guidelines and regulations, comparator analysis, and other industries. And then we'll finally bring our discussion to a close by discussing the gap analysis, which will be our key recommendations and implementation plan for Bentley to take away.
So firstly, beyond 100. So this is Bentley's sustainability strategy to become a leader in sustainable luxury mobility. It's based around the 4 pillars of sustainability, innovation, craftsmanship, and performance. And as you can see, it consists of these main target areas of decarbonisation, electrification, renewable charging for BEV, and circular economy. So firstly, in terms of decarbonisation, we have the aim to reach carbon neutrality by end-to-end carbon neutrality by 2030 and becoming climate positive hereafter. And to reach these goals, we've been implementing systems around every part of the business to reduce emissions. One being systems at the cruise sites, making it the first luxury automotive factory in the UK to be certified carbon neutral by the Carbon Trust. Also, the transition from internal combustion engine to battery electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids. So the average passenger vehicle at research emits around 4.6 metric tons of carbon dioxide each year. And so this transition to electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids will massively reduce the carbon footprint of them. However, this also comes with its drawbacks, with the negatives of the ethical and environmental impacts of the mining of cobalt and lithium in the production of the batteries. And we've also been looking into supply chain using green fuels for delivery trucks and around sites. Finally, the use of carbon offsetting to reduce those remaining emissions that are still produced regardless of efforts to reduce emissions.
So in terms of BEV, currently Bentley has 30,000 on-site solar panels, with 10,000 of those solar panels dedicated to carport. The carport is a workplace charging solution that makes use of that renewable energy. However, Bentley is still to come up with a more rigorous strategy for sustainable renewable energy and for that infrastructure.
Okay, so for circular economy, we've looked into 2 different sections, which is water and waste management. So for water, we found out that you're currently recycling rainwater specifically back into the production process, and then you're also encouraging home working to reduce the domestic on-site water usage as well. And then for the waste management, we found that you're specifically focusing on packaging, especially like the plastic wraps around the vehicles as well. And then you're looking into exciting new materials such as extracting magnets from waste electronics to be used in motors into new cars as well. Not clicking.
Has it gone on to there? Is there a little button on the side there? Try again, Matt.
There you go. So the guidelines and regulations helps to initiate a sustainability plan and set up targets for sustainability. So we have chosen United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, Paris Climate Change Agreement, and European Green Deal because these provide a comprehensive framework about the pressing challenges such as economic, social, and environmental. Around 190 countries are the member of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. More than 196 countries have signed the Paris Climate Change Agreement, And the European Green Deal aims to make EU the first climate neutral continent by 2050. So the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals comprises of around 17 goals, but I feel these 6 goals are the major goals that Bentley should be focusing on to make them a leader in sustainability. The Paris Climate Change Agreement, adopted by 196 countries, aims to decrease the temperature below 2 degrees Celsius before it was the pre-industrial revolution time. Also, the Enhanced Transparency Framework is a part of Paris Climate Change Agreement, which will start from 2024, and countries will need to report what actions are they taking for climate change mitigation. Next is the European Green Deal. As I told you before, it aims to make EU the first climate neutral continent. It also plans to add 3 billion additional trees by the year 2030, and I feel that Bentley should be helping the Europe by doing so. And one major part of it is to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by the year 2030 by 55%.
So now key takeaways from this first section. First one being, due to the nature of mining of the lithium batteries, regulations are expected to tighten on transportation of the lithium, and also it's expected that there's going to be a high percentage of these lithium batteries that need to be recycled. Therefore, it may be good to look to an alternative source rather than this lithium, maybe more beneficial to the environment and for Bentley's future.
So as I discussed before, the global target to reduce the emissions is by 2030. In order to meet the target, Bentley needs to assess their carbon footprint right now and carry through their targeted goals. Compliance with as many possible regulation will put Bentley ahead of others. Also, Bentley need to adopt a holistic strategy that integrates environmental, social, and economic factors into its business practices if they want to become a leader in sustainability.
So the next section will be our competitor analysis. So for this, we decided to look into Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Rolls-Royce. This reason being that they're the most likely competitors to Bentley in terms of being a luxury automotive brand. We decided to look into the same areas as we did for Beyond 100, so decarbonisation, renewable charging for the EV, and then circular economy. And this is just to give the best comparison between the four. So firstly, we've got Ferrari and decarbonisation. So Ferrari also committed to achieving carbon neutrality by 2030. And the main way that they've been reducing emissions, as far as I can tell, is by actually reducing it from parts of the cars. Whether this be in aspects such as the turbochargers, engine downsizing, electric steering, and hybrid technology. It seems as though the main way they're trying to reduce these emissions is by reducing as much weight as possible in the cars, then reduce the fuel consumption and overall emissions. They're also using these guarantee of origin certificates to purchase their electricity and reduce the emissions. And in 1 year, these just using these alone, they managed to reduce their emissions by 18,000 tonnes.
The next section would be the BEV, and in terms of that, Ferrari has released hybrid automobiles, but they remain vague about their electrification plans. Proof of this is seen by their press statements, their lack of marketing towards full electrification, and their vague yearly electrification goals in their reports. However, they have developed solar carport charging systems for on-site vehicles, and they are investing in clean fuel alternative options, meaning biofuel. They've also shown a commitment using sustainably sourced materials such as leather and wool.
So for circular economy, for the waste management section, Ferrari have decided to focus on recyclable materials such as melting aluminium to reduce the waste and put back into the production line as well. They've also implemented their own plants for the treatment of washing and degreasing solutions, and also an evaporator treatment plant for the oil emulsions as well. In terms of water, they've implemented their own cooling system and their own water consumption meters, as well as recycling rainwater such as yourselves, and as well as condensation.
So next, talk about Lamborghini. and decarbonisation. They've got a target of reducing carbon emissions by 50%, but starting from 2025. And then comparatively, they have an aim to reach carbon neutrality by 2050 rather than 2030, such as Bentley and Ferrari. They're using various systems in their production sites to reduce emissions, like these photovoltaic systems and heating systems. And they're also using carbon offsetting programs to reduce those remaining emissions and impact the local communities.
And for BEV, similar to Ferrari, Lamborghini is kind of going in the same route in terms of their efforts. They are also yet to develop a sustainable charging solution for their customers. However, they also have innovative photovoltaic systems to provide alternative energy for manufacturing their new mobiles. Much like Ferrari, the information available for Lamborghini in terms of electrification is very dispersed and sparse.
So in terms of circular economy, for waste management, Lamborghini has also been obviously sorting the waste for recycling, mainly focused on carbon fibre scraps and leather as materials back into the production line. On top of this, they have a clause with external waste disposal companies to ensure that they're recycling as much as they can, so once it leaves site, it's not just up to them, it's up to the external ones as well. And then in terms of water, they actually have their own water supply, which has allowed them to close the loop in the water distribution and generation in their actually factory as well.
So for Rolls-Royce, they're under the umbrella of the BMW Group, so information for Rolls-Royce in particular was limited. However, they have launched their fully electric vehicle called Spectre, and from this it can be inferred that they're undertaking projects to reduce carbon emissions. They also have the goal to reach they also have a goal to transform their entire fleet to fully electric by 2030 and to reach carbon neutrality by 2050. Although there's a lack of transparency with their sustainability strategy, their sales have not decreased, which begs the question, do luxury customers really care about sustainability? And according to our research, whilst they're just beginning to look into sustainability now, by 2030, sustainability is going to be a driving factor in their decision in buying a car.
So then we've decided to rank these 4 competitors based on those 3 areas, with green being those who are leading the industry and actively achieving goals, then amber being those who do have these goals and commitments, however they are slightly further behind in terms of reaching them, and then red is those who do not appear to be actively improving in these aspects. So for Bentley, we've ranked them in green for decarbonisation and BEV, with the closest competitors being Ferrari and Lamborghini for decarbonisation, and for BEV it's actually Rolls-Royce, as we said, with the Spectre being the new electric model there. However, for circular economy, Lamborghini we've ranked in green in this one, with Bentley and Rolls-Royce being in amber. We then decided to map these onto a competitive positioning map based on the parameters of electrification and circular economy, because decarbonisation fits within both of those parameters anyway. To be a leader in this market, we believe that Bentley needs to get as far as possible to that top right hand corner, and this map shows us that to reach this, Bentley needs to focus more on achieving a more circular economy. And our key takeaways for our competitive analysis. Although Bentley are ahead in terms of decarbonisation, there are still things that they can learn from Ferrari and Lamborghini, whether this be the weight reduction in Ferrari or the production site systems that Lamborghini are taking under. This would then help you reach your carbon neutrality goals faster and propel you further into that leading position. Also, with carbon offsetting, it's a good way of reducing those remaining emissions. However, there are some that see it to be cheating. This is due to the difficulties in putting a figure on the amount of carbon that's actually removed from these projects. And so this might threaten the positioning in the future.
In terms of BEV, Bentley has to focus on making the user experience more attractive for its customers and to alleviate concerns like range anxiety. Standardization is another key concern where strategies and business models of car manufacturers, energy providers, and electric charging providers are differentiated. Utilizing this renewable charging infrastructure is consistent with Bentley's Beyond 100 strategy and will help their overall brand image.
So in terms of circular economy, the key takeaways is that perhaps Bentley should work towards closing the loop in water generation like Lamborghini has been able to. and also increase the recycled materials back into the production line, not just recycled elsewhere. And then, as you can see, all competitors are working towards being more sustainable. Bentley are currently in the lead, and Rolls-Royce potentially are the ones to look out for, as they aren't as transparent, but it doesn't mean they're not doing anything behind the works which they can release to the public at a later date.
Okay, so we also looked at other industries outside of the automotive sector. We researched on the yachting industry and the aerospace industry. We checked to see what they are doing towards achieving sustainability and the roadmap to sustainability. And we also looked at luxury fashion, and my colleague here will be taking us down the line. Okay, so when we first got the brief and we thought to check the aerospace industry, the first question we asked was, can the aviation sector get to net zero? And the answer is actually yes. The aviation sector has agreed to try and achieve net zero emission by 2050. They are eagerly working on decarbonization and implementing sustainable practices across their operations, including their engines. We also looked at two major aviation engine manufacturers, GE, General Electric, and Rolls-Royce, to see the materials they are using and how they're trying to achieve sustainability. And we see that they have all of this in common. SAF, Sustainable Aviation Fuel. So this is made from 100% renewable wastes, and it is also made from residual materials like cooking oil. And this helps to reduce greenhouse gas emission by up to 80% compared to fossil jet fuel. So we looked at CMC's ceramic matrix composites. These are made from subgroups of composite materials. They are widely used in the aviation sector. They also help to improve fuel efficiency and reduce emissions. Additive manufacturing, 3D printing. So we also looked into this, and this is applying materials layer by layer in precise geometrical shape using the CAD, that is a computer-aided design, rather than using the traditional manufacturing process where you have to mine and carve and all of that. So this allows for greater engine design. It helps to reduce waste because you don't get to cut out some parts of the materials you are using. So it helps reduce waste, and it can result in low engine weights as well, which also improves fuel efficiency and reduces emission. Recycled materials. GE is also currently using recycled materials in their engine designs. For example, they are using titanium in some engine components. This also helps reduce waste and the need for mining and new materials. So we looked at the yachting industry as well. They are also trying to move the sector to a greener future. We looked at Oceanco and Black Pearl Yachts. Oceanco has a 2030 target as well. And by 2030, they desire to be using 100% renewable energy for their electricity usage. And they also desire to be 100% waste-free. So these are also some of the steps they are taking, delving into alternative fuel like biofuel, 100% waste-free, and then building yachts that are capable of converting solar and wind power into renewable energy.
Yeah, so to gain an insight in the luxury fashion industry, to understand what sustainability initiatives they are taking, we looked upon Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and Rolex. So these are the most famous high-end brands that are associated with luxury lifestyle. Now, Louis Vuitton is a subsidiary of LVMH, and it is committed to reduce their direct carbon footprint by 55% by the year 2030. Some of the main initiatives that they use are LED lighting. Initiatives they have taken are LED lightings in the stores by the year 2025. Sustainable architecture. They are using water heated pumps and natural light in the stores and in the offices to improve sustainability in their area. Also, they have implemented 3D printing technique for its prototyping process to reduce waste and increase efficiency. Now they use bill and carbon methodology, which helps them to quantify greenhouse gas emission and develop a plan to reduce them. It is a little vague if this bill and carbon methodology is subject to third-party verification. Also, leather is a hot topic when it comes to luxury lifestyle sustainability. Now LV states that 86% of their leathers are working group certified, and their exotic leather, that is crocodilian leather, is certified by LVMH crocodilian standard. Now the interesting fact here is that Leather Working Group is a multi-stakeholder organization and there are hundreds of members. So we can say that it is subject to third-party verification, and there is more transparency compared to LVMH crocodilian standard, because LVMH crocodilian standard itself LVMH. So what information they choose to publicly tell, it cannot be transparent. Now Gucci is a subsidiary of their parent company Kering Group. They plan to reduce their total carbon environmental footprint by 40% and greenhouse gas emission by the year 2025 by 50%. Now they use environmental profit and loss accounting that examines a number of variables across the whole supply chain, including greenhouse gas emission, air and water pollution, water consumption, land usage, and waste creation. The costs to society are then calculated and put the result into monetary terms. Now, the interesting fact here is that environmental profit and loss accounting is subject to third party verification, because they use the auditor PwC to increase transparency and credibility in their data. Their leather is Kering's leather standard, as we know that Kering is their parent company. So here also it is unclear if this is subject to third party verification or not. Now Rolex is a wristwatch luxury brand, and what they are doing in sustainability is very unclear. It's not publicly known that what they are exactly doing in terms of, and what are their targets. But they have a series of exertions that are part of Perpetual Planet effort, which aims to provide important insight into the effects of climate change. Some of them are Call to Earth by CNN, The Pioneers by Monocle. There are around 17 that they have mentioned on their website. They are also working with, in this they are working with individuals and organizations to help and safeguard the planet. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so what are our key takeaways from the other industry that we looked into? 2030 is a clean year, and major players in the aerospace and the yachting industry have set sights of their targets to attain a clean level of energy. And we know Bentley has also set this target internally. And but beyond working towards electric sources of energy, we believe that Bentley should strive to lead in other areas as well. And one of the areas is additive manufacturing. Sorry about the spelling, the C wasn't supposed to be there. Okay, so because this can help to reduce waste and lighten energy waste, and it will result in fewer emissions and fuel efficiency. Other industries involving engines that are also delving into alternative fuel as a way of becoming more sustainable. So Bentley should also look into this. And then other industries are also using recycled materials for most part of their engine. But as far as I know, I don't think they are using recycled materials for all parts of their engine. So we feel like Bentley can go a step ahead by researching and embarking on a deliberate strategy to make use of only recycled materials, if possible, in all their engine productions.
Increasing transparency in the supply chain of leather promotes sustainability and reduce the impact of leather production on animals and environment. Employing a standard method to calculate, just like carbon billing methodology and environment profit and loss accounting, will help to calculate carbon and greenhouse emission and help to determine the cost to society and make informed decisions. Partnering with organizations to fight climate change helps improve the brand image and makes Bentley a leader in sustainability. So throughout our presentation, we have been trying to answer one question: what does it mean to be a leader in sustainable luxury mobility by the year 2030? Based on this, our recommendations are ways in which we think Bentley can improve or strengthen their position. The recommendations are ranked based on what we think will have the biggest impact to making Bentley a leader in sustainable mobility. First part is, and the first and foremost is that alternative materials. hydrogen and synthetic fuels. Now, green hydrogen fuel cells do not produce any harmful emissions, and their only byproduct is water. And they can offer a greater ranges and faster refueling times than lithium batteries. Additive manufacturing. Investing in research for the development and use of additive manufacturing or 3D printing in the making of engines will be an innovative approach to sustainability. Plant-based leather. We feel Bentley should partner with organization and invest in the research of plant-based leather. Premium quality plant-based leather will help Bentley to not lose the luxury touch and also differentiate Bentley from its competitors.
So the second section of recommendations is essentially renewable charging. Split this into 3 sections, which is home charging, workplace charging, and public charging. With home charging, solar-based charging will help encourage EV adoption and reduce the load on grid electricity. Bentley can simply subcontract large-scale carport installation projects to Flexi Solar, and they can install charging points at posh residential areas. When it comes to workplace charging, according to our research, 15 to 25% of charging events occur at the workplace. And for this reason, Bentley should continue to provide renewable energy infrastructure to recharge on-site vehicles. When it comes to public charging, Bentley should provide accessible charging stations throughout the city, located at public parks such as schools, malls, and restaurants. So the indirect competitors like Tesla and Rivian have already started providing energy charging stations across different cities. For example, Tesla's supercharging network has been pivotal in creating a refined customer experience by offering fast charging facilities in multiple locations. And Rivian plans to do the same by deploying over 3,500 fast chargers at 600 locations in the US by the end of 2023. By implementing a similar strategy, Bentley can actually create a network of opportunity charging stations to exclusively provide for its customers. And as discussed earlier, Rolls-Royce is very close to Bentley in terms of BEV, and this will give Bentley the winning edge over Rolls-Royce. Bentley can also enter into partnerships with high-end luxury establishments like 5-star hotels and high-end restaurants. This will create that well-rounded experience that Bentley essentially wants to give to its customers. And finally, they can implement opportunity-based renewable charging stations. They can focus on key materials in high-density areas by starting small and then gradually increasing to expand the EV adoption rate. This kind of phased approach will help them minimize their risk and optimize their utilization of their resources based on customer feedback and data.
So then our third recommendation revolves around AI implementation. So firstly, energy tracking. AI tools can help analyse and monitor energy usage and consumption, which better improves efficiency and reduction of waste. Secondly, supply chain optimization. So AI tools can help analyse data from suppliers, can identify shortages in materials and improvements in logistics. This again can help improve efficiency and keep on top of the supply chain more easily, using the best allocation of resources possible. And finally, autonomous driving. So autonomous driving can help improve the car performance and again efficiency, and this can help reduce fuel consumption, and overall emissions will be reduced from this. Part of autonomous driving is that it's seen to be the future of mobility. Therefore, getting into this before the other competitors in the luxury space, such as Lamborghini and Ferrari and Rolls-Royce, will be more beneficial in reaching that leading position in the market.
Okay, so our final area of recommendations are based around water and waste management. The first one would be to be able to fully close your water supply to create that circular loop of water generation and distribution, and possibly look into having your own water supply for the factory, if that would be something that could be doable in the future. So the second recommendation would be carbon offsetting. So this would be to reduce the reliance on carbon offsetting, and that would make Bentley leaders in the future if they were completely unreliant compared to the competitors. However, we would recommend that you do still do carbon offsetting, but as an additional bonus, so everything that you do would be carbon neutral, and that would be extra that you would do on top of other companies. And then our last recommendation is the recycling and transparency of materials. So we understand that you do obviously recycle most of your production line products, but would there be some opportunity to perhaps recycle some of these back into your own production line? For example, leather scraps, we know you utilise around 60%, that 40%, would any of them be able to perhaps be used into anything else on the production line? Is that something you could look into in the future? and also just to ensure that the transparency of, say, sources such as leather is available to the public as well, so that the users are fully ensured that everything is coming from ethical sources.
Okay, so based on the recommendations discussed, we prepared an implementation plan to show which recommendations are short-term and which are long-term. So we have the short-term recommendations here: waste management, AI implementation, gradual reduction of carbon offsetting. And for the long-term, we have alternative fuel materials, home charging, workplace charging, and public charging.
So we just like to wrap up with what did we learn and take like our key takeaways kind of from the project. So these are kind of what we've all come up together as a team. So the first would be working with a solution-oriented team. So we've never done this sort of kind of work before, and we didn't get to pick who we were working with, but it's really benefited us like in the end, and I feel like now we've probably come away good friends, so it's nice. And then also working closely with Michael and Alex throughout the project has been really helpful to like constantly get the feedback and the constructive criticism. And I feel like it's allowed us to really develop the report a lot more than if we were just like let loose on, say, like a stagnant client that didn't actually have any like real face-to-face interactions. Also, as well as this, is our time management, because obviously the weekly calls, like having this as a deadline has really helped us like keep on track as like a real live working consultancy project as well. And then finally, probably just our own strengths, because we had to pick a role, so we've all been able to like fully take advantage of that role and pretend that we are doing that for our future and in jobs as well, and realise what we actually are good and what we might want to work as in the future as well. So finally, just any questions really?
Got loads. I think it would be unfair to ask you all those questions apart from one in a moment, because I think you guys need to go, and then I could probably ask you all a load of questions at the end if that's okay, because otherwise I'm going to give these guys the competitive advantage. So one question from my side though, in terms of how you found this. So you said you're kind of pretending to do it, so it doesn't feel like you pretended to do it, it feels like you've done it, like you mean it, right? So it's really good. So the quality of work you've done I really like. There are a couple of really big breakthroughs for me in there, which I'll come back to when I ask the questions afterwards. Now you've presented your work, is there anything you would do differently?
Big question.
I'm full of these kind of questions.
Probably the way we first started the presentation. We started with our report, and it didn't come across the way we wanted it to, because it was all in our heads, it was how we saw it. Didn't really think about how it was going to be perceived by you guys. So we sort of started it all, thought we were doing really well, and then realised we were on the wrong track. So I had to change it all up again. So yeah, probably just starting from your guys' perspective first, and then we wouldn't get it wrong the next time.
So clarifying the exam question essentially, and making sure you're meeting the client's needs and
Essentially
expectations.
just making everything clearer.
Yeah.
We obviously understand what we were doing, but didn't come across that way the first time.
So these guys do it all the time as well.
Michael and Alex really helped us in the last meeting, and they like put us through the right path, that what we are lacking and what we need to work on. And I hope they didn't we sent the report late, so I hope that what they said we have done it. So yeah.
It's really good. What you presented is really well presented today. You have a lot of people that come into this room that weren't as clear as you guys. So well done, really, really good. Okay, but I'll ask you a load of questions about the actual presentation in a minute if you don't mind, but let's see what the other group can do. Is that okay? Thank you. Is that okay with you guys? Yeah. That way, yeah?